Christ. He's talking to the church for the church to get aligned with him the way it needs to be. We need to know what God is saying. Who's feeding my sheep? Let me tell you, sheep, the diet of a sheep is different from a goat. A goat eats anything that's just laid before it. But a sheep is particular. A sheep is meticulous. It doesn't eat just any old thing, because why is a vegetarian and likes green grass and green herbs? I don't understand folks that tell me that you're saved and you're in the house of God, but yet you can eat and listen to all kind of things and eat all kind of things. Your diet is still among things. And this is why I say, when it comes down to pastors, a pastor don't have to get a message that he studied. A pastor don't have to get a message over plagiarizing somebody else's message. But a pastor stays before God, being like a fine-tuned instrument, laying on their face before God. Now, God, speak to my heart. What do you want me to say to the people? Don't you know, I said last night, back in the day in the old church, that when folks got up to preach the gospel, back in the old day when they preached, folks were healed and delivered right in the midst of the service. They didn't look for the pastor all the time to come down to lay hands on them. They believed God. They got healed in communion. They got healed through the preached word. But today, folks have become caught up in the fanciness of the word. I often tell folks over and say, well, the old church, they didn't have the education. They didn't have the preparation. But one thing the old church had was the Spirit. They lay before God. You had ignorant preachers that did not know ABCD. They could barely write their name. But when it came down to the Bible, they could quote the scriptures to you from Genesis to Revelation without missing a beat. And they had God's Spirit. Leaders that sought God, that had discerning, that saw the devil when it came in the church and recognized praying mothers of Zion. They knew what it was to shed in real leaders. Then when they got up and preached to you, you got something out of the message. Today, folks are more falling behind T.D. Jakes and falling behind Juanita Bynum and all the big name folk and the young men that's down there in Mountain. They're all falling behind them, all because of words spoken. But listen, don't you know, when a person speaks words, it can either stir them up into a frenzy or stir them to go crazy. But when God's Spirit speaks a message, it can set you free. And when a real shepherd that has the people at heart, not beating up the people, not abusing the people, not hurting the people, but healing and binding up the broken heart, the charge that Jesus gave the preachers in Isaiah 61,